how to set up your inbound and outbound routes. So we're going to go to extensions and trunk, and let's do the easy one first. That's the outbound routes. So we've already got our trunks made, and we add some rules. It's possible to put all of these in one rule and send it all with the same privilege level and just do it. I don't recommend that. You need people to be able to do things differently than each other. For example, you want every person in existence to be able to call 911. So we're going to make a path for that. When 911 is called, and that's represented by the underscore 911, and if you're not sure about this terminology, hover over the word pattern here, and it'll give you a good explanation of what you can use for letters and numbers and periods and exclamations and what they mean. Once you've got your path here, underscore 911, you can choose if the route needs a password or a PIN or anything like that. By default, I don't mess with any of this stuff. I just give it a privilege level. And the privilege level is internal, which means anyone at all can use this rule. You can enable source filter on caller ID, which disables the privilege level and lets you pick which extensions can use it. But we want everybody to use it, so we're not going to use that. We're going to leave it internal. And it warns us. It's potential security risk because anybody can do it. So you wouldn't want to set your international route with an internal level. Anyway, what path is it going to take? Which trunk is it going to use? It's going to use PX1. Is it going to strip or prepend any digits? No. What about the backup trunk? We're going to add a failover trunk. If PX1 fails, I want it to use PX5. And then I have to save that down here, and it moves the failover into here. So any failover trunks you add have to be saved down here to be added to the order. If you don't save it down here, it's not going to save. Now we don't want to use the analog trunk. I was just showing you that it would add. And I save that route. Now it's going to warn me again that internal level means anyone can use it, and that's risky. We're going to add another one. Some people have local numbers. And if you have a local number, it's usually 7 digits long. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it doesn't matter if I use capital X's or lowercase x's, so if you like to see it differently, I can see 3 digits followed by 4 digits, but it's still X's, so it doesn't matter. X represents any number, any digit from 0 to 9. And I realize I could use Z's and I could use N's, but I use X's for almost everything because it's simpler. Now, most providers won't accept a 7-digit number anymore, but a lot of smaller companies still like to dial their 7-digit numbers. We can accommodate that. So you put in this route for 7 digits. This one we're going to set to local permissions. So not quite anybody, but any extension that has local rights will be able to use this route. The first place they're going to try is PX1, but our provider needs a 1 and the area code. So we're going to say the area code is 888. So we're going to strip no digits, and we're going to prepend a 1888. That will put the 1888 onto any 7-digit number before it sends it out this trunk. So even though our provider doesn't accept 7-digit numbers, our phone system can. And then add what it needs on and send it out. We're going to do the same thing here. Now some providers don't require the 1, but we're going to pretend like ours does, just for the sake of showing you. The next route you will need is long distance. Now, if your provider accepts both 10 and 11-digit numbers, you can go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see how I use the capital X's to show the middle 3 numbers so you can count easier. Now this would work. I could do this because if I had a provider that accepted both 10 and 11-digit numbers. Now in our case, we don't have that. So we're going to call this 10-digit. And this requires national rights because this is kind of a long distance call. And it's going to use px1. We're not going to strip anything, but we're going to prepend the 1 on there. And then we have to do the same thing for our failover trunk. And save. And because we have 2 different ways people dial out, _1, national rights, px1. Now, we don't have to strip or prepend anything for this one. We just have to say it's allowed to go. And that adds the 11 digit. Now, here's the weird one. A lot of people don't do this one. And I call it plus. Sometimes a incoming call will have a plus sign at the start of it. So you'll see +1 followed by the number. So when you try to call out from your own call log, it says, I don't know how to process that number. And the phone will send the call because we tell it to, and it looks like this, +1 followed by 10 digits. And the system doesn't know what to do with it. But we're smart enough, we know what to do with it. We should take off the plus sign and send it anyway. So that's what we're going to tell it. I want you to strip off 1 digit and send it anyway. And that 1 digit will be the plus sign. And even though each path that we chose is national rights, we had to make 3 different routes to accommodate the 3 different types of numbers that might go out. The last one is international. Very simple. Underscore, every international call starts with 011, followed by a number and any number of digits that you want, period. If you hover over here, you'll see that the period is a wildcard matching 1 or more characters. So I could actually get away with 011 dot, and that would be fine too. But I like my X's, so I do that. Because it's 011 followed by any number of digits. And when you're done and your timer hits, it will send the call. But we don't want anybody to be able to call internationally. So we set this one to the highest level of rights possible. And we do the same thing. Still px1, don't strip or prepend anything, and then px5. So I have my primary route and my failover. And those are my outbound routes. Now if I wanted custom routes or things going to peered trunks and stuff like that, we can do all of that too. But for the sake of simplicity, this is a working phone system. You can call your 911, you can call locally, you can call long distance, and you can call international. And you can limit these any way you see fit. Now the inbound routes are similar. A little more complicated with the possibilities that are there, but they're not too bad. So how to create inbound routes. So again, under extension trunks, click on inbound routes, and you can see up at the top here we have trunks. Analog 1, px1, px5. We have to create our inbound routes separately for each trunk. So with our SIP trunks, anything I do on px1, I also have to do again on px5. Now if we would have used one of those trunk groups, which we couldn't do for our setup, but if we were using one, where we had 5 trunks in one, then you only have to do it on 1 inbound route and you're good. So we're going to start here by hitting add, and we're going to look at what we've created. Let's start with 888-555-1230. The first thing you have to know is how the provider is going to send the call to you. Underscore, that means let's start on my pattern. Are they going to send it like this? Is it 1230? Or are they going to send it like this? You don't need them both. But if they send it with the 1 and you don't have the 1 on there, it's not going to work. And if they don't send it with a 1, but you only have the 1 on there, it's not going to work. If you put both of them in there, it doesn't matter, it will work. But then you have to do that for every single one. So if you know how your provider sends the calls, then you only need one of these in there, not both. So we're going to say that our provider sends it with the 1, and it comes in 888-555-1230. Where does it go? It goes to IVR 1. So we're going to go and look at the path here. We don't mess with the caller ID pattern. We don't prepend anything. We don't tag an alert info, any of that. We go right down to default destination. And it's going to an IVR. IVR 1. Now if we had after hour options and holiday options, you would add those in here. You'd say outside of office time, I want it to go to voicemail or something like that. And you can send it differently based on the time conditions that you set up. But just like the failover routes, if you don't hit save here, it's not going to go into place. You've got to hit save down here or it won't save. Like say on holidays, we're going to go to IVR 2. So this route says if this number is dialed during normal hours, normal operations, by default, it's just going to go here, straight to IVR 1. If it's outside of office time, we're going to dump it to voicemail, and if it's on a holiday, we're going to dump it to IVR 2. So it can do 3 different things based on the time condition. Whatever I do on this trunk, I have to duplicate on PX5. And I have to do the exact same thing. 888-555-1230. And default destination, IVR 1, failover, out of office time, go to voicemail, save, failover, holidays, go to IVR 2. Now this is the only one I'm going to put the time failovers on. I wanted to show you what it would look like. We can get more specific with this and choose even specific time conditions and narrow it down on Mondays from 5 to 3, do this. But we're not going to look at all that right now. Once you have that in, save, and it is now on both trunks. If it's on one and the call fails over to the second trunk, it doesn't know what to do with it. So it's got to be on both trunks that you have if you use failover trunks. Let's look at the next one. We're going to ring group 2. And because we've already created all these, we can now do our inbound routes. Get our phone number right. We don't need a failover, so that route's good. And this is what you do, again, for PX5. I'm going to skip PX5 for now, just for the sake of time. This one, go back to my thing, call Q1. And each number can go to a different place. Underscore 1-888-555-1233 is going to outside number. So just going down, external number. Tell it right where it's going. The call will come in, not even do anything on the system, and immediately call out and forward to that number. Now your SIP provider has to allow that as well. So if your SIP provider won't allow for that to happen, then the call will fail no matter what you do. 1, 2, 3, 4 goes straight to voicemail. Now you can see on here how you can track all of these. The numbers go in the order that you entered them, and they're not movable. So whatever way you put them in is the way you want to see them. If you want to see them numerically in order over here, enter them in numerically in order over here. Unfortunately, there's no way to... Oh, is there? Oh, you can sort them now. Ah, nice. Cool. So looks like the first two tabs now let you sort numerically, which is actually a new feature. Good deal. All right, so the first one, you can see the default goes to IVR 1, and out of office time goes to the voicemail, and on holiday goes to IVR 2. And it breaks it all down for you right here on the one screen. And each of these just go to their respective places. And so you can quickly see where each call is going right on this screen. This is where you go, well, that seems like a lot of work. What if I have 100 different numbers? Well, it's not so bad, as long as your numbers are sequential. So this last one, 800, 555, 6200 to 6300. Each extension that we created is going to get its own DID, a direct inbound dial that goes straight from their number. So 6200 will go straight to 1200. 6201 will go to 1201. So on all the way up to 6300 will go to 1300. And you can do this with as many extensions as you want, but I'm going to show you how to route it in one easy route. So we add in the numbers. Let's see if I can do this right. Underscore 1888 555 6xxx, because it's the last three digits that can be anything. But all the numbers are starting with 800, or I did 800, 555, 6200 to 6300. So after the 6 is when they change. Fix that here. It should be 800. And so you put X's in for the ones that are unknown. Now here's where it gets neat. Down here under default destination, one of the options is by DID. And that allows you to bring in all of those, and the allowed DID extensions right now is just an extension. You can actually route like that to conference rooms or call queues or ring groups or anything like that if you so chose. The most common way to do it is by extension. So it's looking for extensions that match what I tell it. And the way it's going to match, we're going to strip off, starting from the left, we're going to strip off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 digits. Nope. Let's look at it again. 8 digits? Yeah, 8 digits. 4 and 4. So we're going to strip off the first 8 digits, replace it with a 1, and keep what's left. So we're going to strip off 8 digits, prepend a 1. So if the number 6200 came in, it would strip off everything except for the 200, and then it would put a 1 on the front of it, which would be 1200. So the first number would route to 1200. And we save it. And so it's by DID, strip off all 8 digits that's come in at the start, and this is where it's important that you know whether they send the 1 or not. So this one matters. You have to know how they send it. And you strip off all the first digits, prepend the number. So this only works if the extensions are sequential. You can even do this if you don't own a few numbers in the middle, because you just won't receive them, and that's fine. But you can do the whole stretch of an entire sequence of numbers very, very quickly doing it this way. So you have to do this, like I said, again, on PX5. PX5 here, the second trunk has to look exactly like the first one. Otherwise, when the calls fail over, they simply won't work. And that's it. That's how you set up your inbound routes. Once you have your inbound routes and your outbound routes and your trunks are going, you should be ready to go. You should be able to make calls. So we're going to apply these changes and see what we look like.